Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Thursday, February 16th, 2023. Good morning. I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with last night's AEW Dynamite broadcast live on TBS from the Sames Auto Arena in Laredo, Texas. In the main event, Ruby Soho won a triple threat match with Britt Baker and Toni Storm pinning Baker. Soho was then confronted in the ring by both Saraya and AEW Women's Champion Jamie Hayter.
She has a chance to end it here, but Ruby. Right onto Saraya. Ruby, she rolls up bridge.
Did she get her?
And that's the win.
Here is your winner, Ruby Soho.
That's some quick thinking on your feet right there by Soho.
It was every competitor for themselves. And Ruby, wait a second, Saraya giving Ruby Soho an earful.
She's saying you're with us.
And Ruby screaming enough. Ruby Soho tired of being pulled in all these different directions.
In an angle earlier in the show, MJF attacked Christopher Daniels during an in-ring promo with Bryan Danielson coming down to the ring to make the save. MJF had been running down Danielson, his opponent next month at AEW Revolution, with Daniels initially coming out to speak up on Danielson's behalf, only to get into a physical altercation with the AEW World Champ. In another promo segment on the show, Jon Moxley challenged Hangman Adam Page to a Texas death match at Revolution. The challenge came moments after Page had defeated Kip Sabian. Christian Cage made his return to AEW TV, attacking Jungle Boy on the entrance ramp, following Jungle Boy's victory over Brian Cage.
Christian Cage,
we have not seen him in months. Look at this, his arm's still in the sling. After the injury he sustained by Jungle Boy Jack Perry. And
what was that? What the hell did he spray him with?
Christian, is
that mace or something?
It's something we can.
Smell it from here.
Yeah, it's making me tear up. Whatever it is, it went directly in the eyes of Jack Perry.
Of course, he would stoop to such lows. That's what he's all about. And look at that smirk on his face.
In other results, the Acclaimed Billy Gunn and Orange Cassidy beat Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Jeff Jarrett, and Satnam Singh. Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley defeated Roosh and Preston Vance, and Mark Briscoe pinned Josh Woods. In Ring of Honor news, the first set of Ring of Honor TV tapings since the buyout of the company by Tony Khan will take place Saturday, February 25th and Sunday, February 26th from Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, according to an announcement by Khan yesterday on Busted Open Radio. The weekly ROH TV show will be made available on the Honor Club streaming platform. Tony Khan first announced his purchase of Ring of Honor back on March 2nd of last year. In ratings news, last Tuesday's broadcast of NXT on USA Network drew a total viewership of 640,000, up 4.25% from last week's audience of 562,000, according to Showbuzz Daily. The rating in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic was .15, representing 201,000 viewers, according to WrestleNomics. That number is up from last week's key demo rating of .11. In National Wrestling Alliance news, the NWA's next pay-per-view event will feature the crowning of the first ever NWA Women's Television Champion, according to an official announcement. NWA 312, named after the Chicago area code, will come to pay-per-view on Fight Live from Chicago on Friday, April 7th. The event will include the finals of an announced tournament for the women's TV title, set to begin with a qualifying match on NWA Power between Taya Valkyrie and Genocide. The NWA Women's Television Championship will be the 9th active title currently sanctioned by the NWA. And in some unfortunate news, acclaimed author, sports writer, and wrestling magazine editor Lou Sahadi passed away yesterday at the age of 92, according to an announcement on social media by his son, Impact Wrestling TV producer and director David Sahadi. The author of more than 20 books over the course of the 1960s through the 2000s, perhaps most notably collaborating with Willie Mays on Mays' autobiography in 1989, Sahadi began his career as a journalist in the 1950s. Among his most recent books were Johnny Unitas, America's Quarterback in 2004, and Acclaimed, the last Triple Crown winner in 2012. Sahadi flourished starting in the 1960s as an independent magazine publisher and was most known to wrestling fans of the era as the editor of the Wrestling World magazine. He built strong relationships and personal friendships with some of the legends of his time, including Buddy Rogers, Bruno Sammartino, and especially the Sheik, whom he shared a Lebanese heritage. All through the 1960s and 70s, Sahadi was a regular at matches at Madison Square Garden, and through his connection to the Sheik, would regularly travel to the Detroit territory to cover the stars of big-time wrestling as well, helping to make the Sheik into a national attraction by putting him on the covers of his magazines numerous times. Sahadi fostered many relationships in sports and entertainment beyond the world of wrestling, helping spearhead Phil Rizzuto's induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1994, and counting his one-on-one interview with Frank Sinatra in Las Vegas as one of his most cherished accomplishments. Enjoying a long-standing working relationship with the McMahon family, Sahadi worked in publicity and as a celebrity liaison for the WWF in the 1990s, helping to book such mainstream figures as Lawrence Taylor and Mike Tyson. In his later years, he was under a Legends contract with the company, which lasted until 2003. Lou's son David also worked at the time as a WWE TV director and producer. Sahadi had been undergoing chemotherapy and radiation treatment for cancer when he contracted pneumonia last month. He was checked into the hospital for dehydration last Sunday. Once again, Lou Sahadi passes away at 92 years old. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.